Take a look at your desk for a second. Does it look like one of those setups you'd see in a productivity ad or YouTube video? Loaded with gadgets, a phone stand, and some of the latest tech? Well, here's the thing. That setup might actually be your focus and productivity. Crazy, right? But let me explain why. I've helped millions of people through my YouTube channel and the guides I've written to optimize their productivity and digital organization. And one mistake I see over and over again is desk setups that look productive but actually make it harder to focus and get things done. So in this video, I'll break down why that happens and show you the simple changes you can make to create a workspace that actually works for you. And spoiler, the ideal desk setup is even simpler than you might think. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter via the link in the description below. Because if your desk is a mess, maybe your inbox, notes, or task management feel like chaos as well. And you're not alone, but no worries, my newsletter is here to help. Every week I share quick, practical productivity and Microsoft 365 tips to cut the busy work and help you take back control. So sign up below. Now let's talk about those fancy desk setups for a minute. You know, the ones with all the gadgets, the perfectly placed phone stand, nice figures or decor, and maybe even a bunch of high-end pens scattered around. They look amazing, right? But here's the truth. Those setups might be doing more harm than good when it comes to your focus and productivity. Just think about it. A phone stand, for example, seems super convenient. Your phone is right there, always within reach, fully charged and nice visible. But that also means every single notification, buzz, or random urge to check something is right in your face. You're basically inviting distractions onto your desk. And then there's the random stuff we pile up, like decorative figures, industry magazines, or brochures, or even business cards we don't actually use. These might feel like they belong on your desk, but in reality, they just clutter your workspace and your mind. I've even seen people fill their desk with a dozen pens or markers, even though they only ever use one, if at all. That kind of clutter doesn't seem like a big deal, but every time your eyes wander to it, it's a tiny distraction pulling you away from your work. I fell into this trap myself quite a while ago. My desk used to have a nice plant, sticky notes scattered around, multiple pens, and even paperwork I told myself I've get to eventually. But instead of creating a productive atmosphere, all those things just added to the visual noise. I found myself constantly rearranging items or trying to clear space, spending more time organizing than actually working. The point is, all this extra stuff creates clutter, not just on your desk, but in your mind. It divides your attention and makes it harder to stay in the zone. And the craziest part, we convince ourselves that these setups are productive because they look productive. But in reality, they're just stealing your focus one distraction at a time. That's why the perfect productivity desk that everyone seems to chase is often anything but. I believe it's not about how much cool stuff you can fit on your desk. It's about how little you actually need to do your best work. And now let me show you how you can flip these around and set up your desk in a way that actually supports your focus. Trust me, it's simpler than you think. Alright, so if fancy desk setups filled with gadgets and extras aren't the answer, what is? It's actually really simple. A clean, essentials-only desk. Think about it. The less clutter you have on your desk, the fewer distractions your brain has to process, and the easier it is to focus on what actually matters. When I say essentials only, I'm talking about keeping just the bare minimum you need to do your best work. For me, that's my laptop or computer with keyboard and mouse, sometimes a notebook and a pen, and a water bottle. And that's it. No piles of sticky notes, no decorative nothing, and definitely no phone in sight. Here's why this works so well. Your brain loves simplicity. When your desk is free of clutter, your mind feels clearer and you don't waste precious mental energy processing the mess around you. It's like giving yourself permission to focus entirely on the task at hand. Let me give you an example. A while back, I decided to completely strip down my workspace. I removed everything that wasn't essential and kept only what I absolutely needed. At first, it felt a bit strange, like something was missing. But within a day, I noticed a huge difference. My mind felt sharper. I wasn't constantly distracted by looking and thinking about the individual items on my desk. And I couldn't sit down and start working without needing to get ready by moving things around. Now, I'm not saying you have to have a desk that looks sterile or boring. If you love having a plant or a small personal item for inspiration, just go for it. But I would limit it to 1 or 2 items max. The goal is to create a space that feels calming and functional and not distracting. So one of the biggest game changers for me was getting rid of my phone on my desk entirely. I moved it into another room or placed it in the drawer while I worked. Without that constant temptation, I found it so much easier to stay in the zone. And the same goes for paperwork. If you have documents that don't need your immediate attention, file them away. Your desk isn't a storage unit, it's a workspace. At the end of the day, the essentials only approach is about creating a desk that works for you and not against you. It's about minimizing distractions and maximizing focus so you can actually get things done. But here's the thing, what's essential will look different for everyone. For me, it's just a handful of things. For you, it might be a bit more depending on your work. The key is to figure out what you actually need and remove everything else. Now you might wonder how to figure this out, so let me tell you. Start by clearing everything off your desk. I mean, everything. When I first did this, I was shocked by how much random stuff had piled up. Old sticky notes, half-used notebooks, and other random stuff that had accumulated. Taking everything off gives you a fresh start and makes it easier to be intentional about what actually belongs there. Then put back only what you use daily. If you don't reach for it every day, it doesn't need to sit on your desk. For me, as I said, that's my laptop, my computer, a mouse, a notebook, a pen, and a water bottle. I also keep my monitor on the desk, of course, but that's it. No extra stacks of paper, no just-in-case items. If you need something occasionally, store it nearby, but out of sight. And next, remove distractions. For most people, the biggest problem is their phone. I used to keep mine right next to me thinking it was more convenient, but in reality, it just meant I was constantly checking messages and getting distracted. Now I keep it in a drawer or put it on airplane mode upside down when I need deep focus. If your distractions are things like piles of paperwork, desk gadgets, or too many pens, seriously, you only need one, move them somewhere out of sight. And the last step is making this a habit. At the end of each day, take just 30 seconds to tidy up. Put things back where they belong, clear any stray papers, and start fresh for the next day. It might not seem like a big deal, but trust me, it makes a huge difference. Walking into a clean, clutter-free desk each morning helps you get straight to work without the mental noise of messy space. So mastering your desk setup is one thing, but optimizing how you use your computer is what truly takes your productivity to the next level. No matter what an essentials-only desk looks like for you, your computer is always part of the equation. That's why one of the simplest but most effective ways to work faster is by using keyboard shortcuts that save time and eliminate unnecessary clicks. So watch this video next where I'll show you 10 awesome keyboard shortcuts I wish I knew sooner, and you'll wonder how you ever worked without them.